Oh, hey there, Oz.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, what movie are we watching this week?
This week we are watching the movie love child of Caddyshack
Mhm.
meets Splash meets The Way, Way Back
Okay.
with a little dash of Sailor Moon. This week we're watching Summer Rental.
Nice.
I couldn't decide if I wanted to go like Pirates of the Caribbean or Men in Black
Yep.
or...
Yep. As I often do when it's your week, I still find myself coming up with, like
I
what
do.
would be
Oh,
in
I
my...
do. I do for yours as well.
This is what you could... There's a dozen, that you could pick and choose from for this.
Yeah.
One Crazy Summer
Yep, I almost
Uh-huh.
said that as well. One Crazy Summer.
Dodgeball.
Yeah, easily you could go Dodgeball. Get a little Rip Torn action in there.
And Pirate.
and Pirate. I forgot he was a pirate there. But no, I went with Sailor Moon because why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, the weekly podcast where we take a monthly theme, which unfortunately we're shutting the door on Candyland month tonight.
Last week of Candyland.
Yeah.
What a great month it's been, Oz.
It has been a really fun month.
Mhm.
But we're shutting the door on Candyland. We will unveil the September theme. I can't believe it's September already.
I know, right?
The September theme at the end of the show. But
Mhm.
before we do get rolling, I do want to give a shout out to Patreon subscribers Don S., Aaron A., Mandy K., Melissa L., Colleen K., and Bing Bing Bing, new Patreon member.
New Patreon, a sixth Patreon.
Lyle M. Thank you.
Lyle M.
Thank you, one and all, for your patronage.
The Lyle M.
Lyle.
Of the famous M's.
That's right. Right. Named a movie after it.
They did.
Lyle Crocodile.
Or Dial M for murder.
Or Dial M for murder. Or just M. That
M, the movie M.
That German child murderer movie.
Mm-hmm. That movie, just every time I think of the movie M, I think of Lyle M.
I think of Lyle M. So welcome to the Patreon group Lyle M. And one and all, we greatly appreciate your patronage.
Yes, we do.
So let's see. That covers D, E, M, 2 M's, C, and an L. So we have 5 of the 26 letters of the alphabet covered.
Yep.
We need more. So come on. Step on up.
Come on, Q's.
That's right. Where are you at, Quentin? Robert Zadar.
Robert Zadar. Old catcher's mitt face.
Old moon face. Robert Zadar.
Yeah.
So this is my pick this week. So you've got the characters.
Yeah.
And who do we have in this star-studded flick?
Summer Rental. I was reading. I guess this was John Candy's first solo, starring vehicle. He was the headliner.
His first American.
Yeah.
Starring act.
Yeah. So we've got John Candy as Jack Chester, not Chet Ripley.
No.
Jack Chester.
And not Chester Cheetah.
Not him either. An air traffic controller's taking his family on vacation down in Florida. His wife, is Sandy, played by a younger than she looks Karen Austin, as we were talking pre-show. Only 29 when they filmed this.
Yeah, John Candy, 34. So it's not like they've got this weird age discrepancy. Yeah. But they both, I believe, play older than their actual age.
Yes,
because they have a 16-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't think that 18 and 13-year-olds were having children.
Yep. We'll just finish off the family there. We got Carrie Green as Jennifer, the oldest daughter. We got Joey Lawrence.
A young Joey Lawrence.
Whoa! Whoa!
As Blossom Chester.
As Blossom Bobby Chester, the middle child. And then we have Aubrey Jean as Lori. And apparently Carrie Green voiced Lori also.
Yes. Which was... Why not? Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
She's German. They only spoke German.
That's it. We've got Richard Crenna as Al Pellet. He's the bad guy. He's the rich sailor guy.
I love and hate Richard Crenna in this movie. He plays that just nasty rich man so well.
Yeah, he does. You hit my boat. Ah.
Ah!
We got Rip Torn as Richard Scully, local pirate / restaurateur. And then we have a character, let's see, John Larroquette as Don Moore, a character that you think is going to have a much larger part of the movie, and then he's just gone.
Yeah, John Larroquette from opening narrator of Texas Chainsaw Massacre fame.
That John Larroquette. Not Night Court fame.
Nope.
Oh, the narrator of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
And that's pretty much it.
I will say we have Lois Hamilton as Vicky Sanders and Carmine Caridi as Ed Sanders, the neighbors. They a couple of fun characters.
They are fun. I do like them as characters. Kind of sets it up to expect one thing and they deliver another, but they do show up again later, which
boy do they show up.
Yeah. So what did you think? Were they perfect? He's a judge.
Yep, they're great.
What other than the size of her husband, which of course we'll get into this with the plot, why did every man who saw them run away? That's not my but it's like I understand it's for the fear, but every man that saw what she had on display was one-on-one with her. And then they all were unabashedly running from the scene. So,
well, I have a feeling that there's the unexpected nature of having a beautiful woman just, hey, do you want to look at my breasts?
Right. Do you think she had three of them, like that chick in Total Recall?
Like Total Recall?
Yeah. Only not 1, 2, 3, but 2 on one side, 1 on the other?
No, but I think she had, was it Klaatu in her belly?
Yes, Quado or whatever.
Quado, that's right. Yeah, Quado. Klaatu, Quado. Yeah, I think this Klaatu, I was going Star Trek there for a second.
You're about to open the Book of the Dead accidentally.
That's right, yep. Necktie. Nickel.
We could do an Evil Dead month.
We could easily do an Evil Dead month.
5-weeker even would be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, well, that's our cast of the movie, and I have the...
you do. You've got the thick, juicy plot.
This is not a old 96er.
It's not an old 96er.
But
it's more like frozen fish sticks.
It's true. Catch of the day. We meet Jack Chester on his way to work, and it's just hijinks. Nothing too crazy. He's late for work. You could tell he's overstressed. His wife loves him, but his son makes him breakfast. What'd you make me for breakfast? Spaghetti and a hard-boiled egg. Hold the spaghetti and give me another egg.
What a combo.
So it's pretty disgusting as Jack is on his way to work, where he lives suburbs of Atlanta, and he's driving into work. He's an air traffic controller. And he's on the drive peeling this hard-boiled egg, just letting the shell crack all over the ground. Yeah. Eats it, cracks the other one. It just busts because he didn't specify he wanted it hard-boiled. Just fun little sight gags that, really, to get the ball rolling.
I was reading also the trivia. The same stretch of road he drove in on was the opening, like the Rick Grimes in the first
Walking
episode
Dead,
of Walking Dead,
the horse
riding the horse. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise. There's only one way into Atlanta.
It's that one road.
Road.
You got to make it past the zombies and the eggshells.
That's true. They weren't zombies yet, but they were getting there. Because when 29-year-olds look like they're in their late 30s.
This is set in the Walking Dead verse.
Right. Jack Chester and Rick Grimes were never seen at the same time.
Yeah. Al Pellet was patient zero.
I'd believe it. When he choked on that popcorn later in the movie, that was the beginning of the end. But Jack makes it to work. Again, air traffic controller. He's reading the maps, and of course, it's got the beeps, the bleeps, and the creeps. It's a lot going on, and he's trying to signal safe passages for for airships and whatnot, airplanes and whatever's up in the sky. And he's just very stressed. He gives wrong directions. The pilot calls him on it. He saves it. His boss kind of gets a gist of what's going on. A fly lands on his monitor, and he can't see one of the airplanes because the fly is covering it. Long story short, his boss, in lieu of firing him, is like, why don't you take a mandatory break? Like,
yes,
take some time off. You've been directing traffic for like 13 years. You deserve
13
it.
years without a break. Yeah.
Right. He was lucky to go home.
Yeah. It's got 20-hour shifts,
Yeah.
6 days a week.
Yeah. You got to do it, Jack. You deserve this break.
I guess air traffic controller is the most stressful job in America.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I took the drone pilot test, and the amount of material I had to learn just to fly a drone commercially is insane. Like, you have to know how to calculate the distance from the ground to a cloud. We had to learn what all the different codes of airports are and what those codes mean, like the color schemes, what the fractions on these codes. Like, it's a lot.
I can only imagine.
And this was just to fly a drone to go take pictures of roofs. And so to actually be an aircraft controller, you got to know all that stuff, all that rules and more. So I'm sure it is a very stressful job.
Additionally, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it is the only career that's in the top 50 highest paying careers in America that does not require at least a bachelor's degree.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, well, I know what direction I'm sending our kids.
Yep, there you go. Air traffic controller.
Air traffic controller. So if Jack Chester could do it,
I know. He's got a hot wife and everything.
He does have a hot wife, and so that's the premise to get the Chesters on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So and kind of a stereotypical gender swap here. He's the one that basically packs the entire home to drive, again, suburbs of Atlanta, to drive to Florida.
Yes, to go. Yeah, maybe 5 hours?
Yeah,
something like that.
Even his wife's he's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. She goes, well, probably the wallpaper. Like, he's got a U-Haul, it packs it all.
Pull behind U-Haul to go on vacation one state away for a couple of weeks.
It was a month.
Yeah, a month. Okay.
Yeah, it was a month. But still, that's a lot.
I'm sure there's laundry facilities down there.
You're on the beach. Just wear your dirty stuff into the ocean.
There you go. Just wash there.
Yeah, the salt will take care of it.
Just pick up a jellyfish.
It'll work. You squeeze it hard enough, soap will come out. So
if you squeeze anything hard enough, soap will come out.
It's true. So his kids are 14, 8, and 3, 2 daughters and a son. They all load up. They go. They show up at the house. They're just beside themselves. Just absolutely beautiful beachfront home.
Mm-hmm.
Keys in the mailbox. They unpack. They're just living it up. Go down to the beach, just really enjoying their time.
Yeah, great start.
That evening he hears sounds like someone's messing with the door.
Yep.
He goes down to check it out. Turns out it's another family trying to get inside. Well, unfortunately, he's at the wrong house.
Yes.
So it's another one of these 80s style movies. Again, I think it's fair to share that Carl Reiner directed this film.
Yes.
Carl Reiner is, I think, much more interested in a funny movie than he is a cohesive movie.
I would agree with how you framed that.
And so
it's all about the comedy bits.
Right. And there are a lot in here. So let's take an average family with an average husband and an average wife and average kids and just put them in funny situations. So here they are in a home they thought was theirs. They've completely unpacked. I did laugh out loud because they brought their family dog Archer as well. They're getting ready to leave. They've got everything packed into the U-Haul. They're heading out. He's carrying this gigantic bag of dog food.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, see y'all later. It just spills all
the giant, two-hand,
30,
75-pound bag.
Yeah, it was 30 plus pounds of dog food all over the floor. The dog who wouldn't budge comes over to eat it. This family is just, they want him out of the house.
Just go. We've got it. Go.
Meanwhile, he has, in a scene where the kids, it's the first day there, the kids want him to play in the ocean with them. And he's like, oh, no, I don't want to get too wet on the first day. So he falls asleep for apparently 8 hours.
A significantly long time.
Yeah. And I mean, I couldn't tell. I couldn't find in the trivia. To be fair, I didn't read it all. I couldn't tell if John Candy actually got sunburnt for this part, because my wife noted that when he bent his leg, like when he bent his knees, his knees turned white. Like the sunburn stretched white the way a sunburn would do. She's like, I wonder if he really got burnt, because it was pretty accurate.
It might be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah, and so I think it's all column A. If you're saying that my wife is wrong, then I don't think that's nice.
My column B is also in column A.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in the same column.
Yeah.
It's just
it's like an organizational chart.
It is. It's like a bar graph that has two lines, but it's really like like a magic eye thing.
You meant 1A and 1B.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I meant. So he gets sunburned. It's just one of these. Again, it's funny. He falls asleep. He gets sunburned. They're in the wrong house.
He's sunburned. He's red now.
He's at like 415 Beach Lane instead of Beach Road or whatever.
Something like that.
So they end up, again, no plot at this point.
Yep.
There's no plot at this point.
There's really zero plot to most of this movie.
Yeah. So they end up at the right house this time, and it is like,
it's okay.
Yeah, it's not. It's well, the thing is, it really is okay. But the first shot we see of it, it's got like a busted for sale sign, or it's like it just looks like this like blight of a property. But it's not. It's fine. Yeah. They move in. They're having. They're back on their feet. We're gonna have a great vacation. Yeah. They're still within walking distance to the beach. Though it turns out that everybody is within walking distance to the beach because the public beach access sidewalk runs right by the home,
and like right in front of the picture window.
Yeah,
and not like like there's like a lawn or anything. It's like window, sidewalk.
Like we get that vibe when they're sitting down to eat breakfast, and some like curly redheaded kid stops to pick his nose as he's looking in the window.
Yeah. And it just has to turn 90 degrees and he's right there watching.
And apparently they just opened the gate because 85,000 people lined up in
They're
advance.
all there. They're all there.
There's no break in the traffic walking by this home.
And it's the only way to the beach.
They also live right next door to the lifeguard station. Of course, he has a 16-year-old daughter who, in a really gross part of the movie, she comes running out of the house in a bikini. Okay, fine. It's the 80s. That's what they do. They sexualize teen girls. But then John Candy calls her, what are you, Lolita? And I'm Johnny.
Yeah. So, I don't think I'd ever say that to my daughter.
No. And so she just ignores it because she's a Goonie. And
Goonies never die.
It's a big year for her because Goonies came out this year.
Yeah. Goonies and Summer Rental.
And so... all the lifeguards. Apparently, it's a lifeguard fraternity. And I wasn't aware of this, but apparently, Floridian lifeguards wear jock straps because it was laundry day. Because there were 18 jock straps.
They're all there. They're all in the clothesline.
And so,
it's part of the code,
right? So, daughter Jennifer is like, she's just instantly talking up this lifeguard, immediately. Oh, what's your name? Oh, is that a CPR doll? Yeah, I teach CPR. They call me like the king of mouth to mouth.
Mr. Mouth to Mouth.
Yeah, Mr. Mouth to Mouth. Jack is, for some weird reason, going to be taking Lori to child,
I thought about that. Like, you go on vacation and then drop your kid at childcare while you're on vacation?
You just moved in the night before. How did you line up, it was like daycare. How'd you line up daycare?
You just drop them off at the local community center.
Well, apparently daycare was closed, so it was just one of those little throwaways. That's dumb.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
You mentioned it, and then the girl was there the rest of the movie. This wasn't like another Carl Reiner. Can I gotta go to the bathroom, and then the big black kid's gone the entire movie.
Gone for an hour and a half just to come back with 5 minutes left.
Yeah, that would have been kind of funny if they'd have pulled that with Lori, but whatever. She was there.
Yeah. In high school, they used to call me Mr. Mouth to Mouth
because you needed a lot of CPR.
And I doubled as the dummy.
Yeah.
Every local CPR class, they those dummies are expensive.
Yeah. That's what you.
They're a lot of money, and living in rural Illinois, there it's
there weren't a lot of Grants in Grant Park.
Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time somebody pinched my nose,
right. That was just your like pickup line. You'd see some hot girl, and then you would just go into convulsions and throw yourself on the floor and go choking, just to see if she'd give him out the mouth. How many times did you make out the librarian?
Too
many.
Too many times to count.
66 times.
66 times. In the mouth.
And so, I just realized we're 20 minutes in this, and I'm still in like the second scene.
Whatever. It's not like there's a whole lot to talk about with this movie.
That's true. And so, like, we just established where we're at. Jack is stressed. He's bumbling. Yeah. The family is going to have fun regardless.
Yes, they will have fun. Jack has a hard time letting himself have fun.
Right. He does. He's just kind of miserable, and that's okay. Whatever.
He's an air traffic controller. They're
stressed.
Like he doesn't know how to unwind.
Right. So we get a fun scene of it's time for the Chesters to go to the beach. Mm-hmm. Like every square inch of sand is taken in this beach.
Yes, there's no visible sand. It's all covered in towel.
Like, even my wife is like, "Oh God, no! There's no way I could do." It's just no. I'm getting anxious watching this scene.
I could completely see her have that reaction.
No. It's.
I think this shot is kind of what this movie's known for.
Yeah, I love this.
I remember seeing this movie as a kid, and then it was ages before I saw it again. And the only thing I could remember was the cooler dripping the water and the people as he's weaving around.
It is a fun scene as he's trying
the tracking shot across,
trying to work his way through this labyrinth of people as he's steps on a guy's hand. The guy says, "Out!" Like, yes, it probably hurt, but you're in the sand. Like, it's gonna give. Steps on his hand. Like, again, the cooler pops open. He's spilling cold water all over everybody. Steps on some guy's sandwich. Like, steps on some guy's sunscreen and just blots it all over it. Like, it's just
the comical.
It's fun. I did like that. So really, as we get to a plot, they're going to go out for dinner. They go to the seafood restaurant, which apparently is like the line to Santa in A Christmas Story.
Yeah. They had one of those big slides too.
I don't know how big this restaurant was because the line to the maitre d' was like 37 people long, and everybody was single file in line inside. Mm-hmm. So
it's a Long John Silver's.
It must have been, yeah. Just a bunch of hush. Everyone's in line for the hush puppies.
That's good stuff. Those hush puppies.
It is a good hush puppy. So they get up to the maitre d', and there's 5 lobsters left. They all want lobster. When is our seat for 5? You guys are the very next seat. They're clearing it now.
You're up next.
Enter Al Pellet, local sailing champion, who we're introduced to as Joey Lawrence is walking by and looking that, wow, this guy's won like every boat regatta race. Like
all the trophies are in the restaurant for some reason.
Yeah, and because he's apparently a local celebrity.
Yeah.
So he comes walking up coincidentally with 5 people and walks up, and the maitre d' seats him right away, to which naturally Jack is like, wait a second here. So it's my table. Well, he had a reservation. You don't take reservations.
You don't take reservations.
Yeah, but that's Mr. Pellet.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care who it is. Of course, Pellet sits down and, 5 lobsters.
Lobsters for everybody.
Yeah, and don't you argue with me, Tim. You're paying.
You're paying.
I gotcha. And so Jack just goes and calls him out. He's like, hey, you took my table.
Literally walks up to the table. Yeah. Like, not even, this isn't even at the maitre d', like walks up to Al Pellet's table.
You took my table and you took my lobsters. Of course, Pellet is he's a local, so he instantly just shuns because you're
renters.
You're renter. You're summer renter.
Think you could take over the town.
So the Chesters leave the restaurant. We're going to go somewhere else. Apparently, there's only 2 restaurants in town. There's this place, and then there's the Barnacle, which the setup to the Barnacle, it's not as bad as it looks, but it reminds me of Vegas Vacation, where Cousin Eddie takes Clark to like the discount buffet.
Yeah.
And it's just really nasty. That's just the vibe you get. Like, nobody else is in this place.
Yeah.
It's just them.
It's just a handful of locals that are there.
they all order the catch of the day, which turns out to just be fish sticks.
Fish sticks. It comes in a like fried to golden brown.
And they're all like licking their lips. I'm like, that sounds delicious. Because they all haven't eaten at all.
Frozen fish sticks.
Frozen fish sticks. So, but they meet Scully. They're maybe did I get some of this backward? They do the Al Pellet thing.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
That really doesn't matter.
And so, let's see where we at in my notes. So Jack, he wants to take. Okay, we start to see some sort of cohesion come together at this point. I would say we're probably in Act 2. We had a bunch of whatevers. Now we're
it's this movie. It's really like there's like the stuff, and then there's the boat race,
right.
And then the credits roll.
Yeah,
like,
and that's really it's pretty much it. So Jack wants to take Bobby sailing. He goes but because of the boat regatta on the horizon, like there's not a single boat available in this town.
They've all been rented.
Yeah, except Scully's got some
because he also rents boats.
Because he also rents boats.
Serves frozen fish.
But he's a pirate, so that's okay. He's got a hook for an arm, a hand, and everything. Not for an arm. That'd be he's got a hook way up there by the shoulder.
just right. It's a giant like harpoon hook.
Very long.
That just starts at his shoulder and goes down arm's length.
Wasn't there a variant of Aquaman that was like that?
Yeah. Like he at his elbow is kind of like where his arm stops, and then you get like a big harpoon there. Yeah,
should have been like a treble hook. That would have been cool. Like 3 hooks hanging off of it.
It's just a coat rack.
Or it looks like a chandelier. Yeah. So Jack wants to take Bobby sailing. Scully's like, hey, you get a free lesson. He's like, nope, I know how to sail. I had Boy Scouts one time.
17, I learned everything.
So in the sailing adventure, he ends up running, because he rents this boat from Scully. Mm-hmm. He runs this boat into Al Pellet's boat.
Yep. And
gets a leg injury. And because of that, he can't really spend time with his family. He's in an air cast. So everybody else is like, he's encouraging, like, don't let my injury slow you down. Go have fun, everybody.
And they're like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right. See you, Dad.
And so they're going to go to the movies. Granted, what's the wife's name? Lori.
Sandy.
No, Sandy, yeah. Lori was the youngest daughter.
Yeah.
Sandy takes all the kids to the movies. She's got her hands full. John Larroquette and his son step in, and they're like, oh, just take it out of this money. It's totally fine. Because my son and I are going to see a movie, and, we're alone and you're alone, so let's do this together.
Yeah.
Really dropping these nuggets that, there's going to be some sort of affair going on here. Yep. Never materializes.
We like later, Sandy, when she gets back home and she kind of fills in Jack on what happens, like, oh, he just divorced last year.
Yeah.
So, like, they set that up.
And then, I did read in the trivia that like they did film more of it, but test audiences didn't like it, so they just abandoned. Which makes sense. But the movie, you could have just abandoned the entire John Larroquette thing anyway, and it wouldn't have lost anything.
It would have lost nothing.
But it did give the rest of the family a place to go.
Yeah.
While Jack befriends Scully, hangs out with him, gets drunk a lot, whatever, but starts to befriend Scully and a couple of the locals. Cut to another extremely fluid edit where the landlord dies.
Yep.
And guess who buys the property? Al Pellet.
He owns the town anyways. At least he's got that trophy case at the restaurant.
It's kind of a fun scene where they call Jack and they're like, your landlord has passed away. We got to work this out. So Jack shows up at the funeral home. Now, I really didn't get the vibe that Jack knew he had died until he showed up at the funeral home. But it's during the funeral as Al Pellet is like signing the papers to the property right there in line at the funeral.
Yeah.
Closes the casket so he has a hard surface to write on.
What a scumbag.
Just a terrible human being. Well, Jack recognizes that, this is how it's going to go. There was a scene earlier where, hey, I need to pay you for the rest of the rent, to which he tears it up.
Yeah.
And he's like, I would not take your money for anything. You need to move out by Saturday. Got to get out.
Yeah.
So fast forward a little bit. Jack, we're getting to the nitty gritty here. Jack confronts Al and he says, I tell you what, why don't we race for it? I owe you $1,000 for the next 2 weeks. If I lose the boat regatta to you, you can have the money and we leave.
Yep.
But if I beat you, we get to stay the next 2 weeks rent free.
Yep.
And of course, Al Pellet's like, fine.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
I'm the 27-time regatta champ.
Yeah, it's like it's named after me. Like,
it's the Al Pellet Regatta.
I get a head start for a reason.
His middle name is actually Regatta. It is literally named after
Al Regatta Pellet.
Al Regatta Pellet.
And so now we actually have a resemblance of plot.
We have a veil of plot here, my friend.
And so it turns into a bunch of scenes where Jack needs to learn how to sail.
Mm-hmm.
He gets his family behind him. They help get. We can't find a boat. Well, Jack's like, wait a second. The Barnacle is a boat.
Yep.
The Barnacle. So talks to Scully, talks to his friends. Everybody hates Al Pellet, by the way. Yep. And says, yeah, let's do it. Then this Scotsman shows up kind of out of nowhere, and they send him all over
all over Florida, all over the Panhandle.
Right. And so he goes to, he's all over the place trying to find a sail because the boat's ready. The regatta's right around the corner. The boat's ready. Scully, you could tell he's got some doubt. Like, hey, I'm proud of you, Jack. You've worked hard. And so
you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's right. Regatta shows up. They show up late, but they start. Granted, you're sailing, so everybody gets a good 100-foot head start, and they're just sailing away. Off they go. Yep. Jack's doing his thing. They're not really gaining any ground, and so we're like.
They're keeping up.
Yeah, they're keeping up.
They're doing better than one would expect.
Yeah, but they aren't catching.
They're not closing any ground.
Then we get a series of just happy accidents.
Yeah,
where Scully doesn't speak very good Spanish, so when he instructed his Spanish helper to get rid of the freezer and all of the food, he didn't understand him. So the ship still has the freezer full of frozen fish sticks.
Pull an extra weight.
So, let's get rid of that. So they, as they're chucking the fish sticks, they hit top speed. They're blowing by these boats.
Yeah, the wind catches them just right.
So
they're holding up the fish stick boxes in just the right way.
So they blow past this, the most of the group. Then they get to a point where it's pretty much just Pellet and ahead of them.
Yeah, and they're not going to catch him in time, Oz. They're just not going to get there.
Well, and he steals his wind. And so it's he stole my wind. So what are we going to do here? Well, Jack happens to glance over and see just this small plane flying and hit a bit of turbulence. Being an air traffic controller, he knows what that means.
Yep.
It means that there's a patch of wind that wasn't recognizable coming, and he makes the adjustments, and they catch that wind, which happens to be stronger than the rest of the wind, and off they go. So now we're pretty much neck and neck with Al. How are we going to pass it up? Well, Jack has another idea.
We had 3 more feet of sail.
I'm a big guy. Why don't we put my pants up there?
Yep.
And that'll give us just enough oomph.
Yep.
Let's not throw aboard any of the extra. What's the Asian guy downstairs that's combing hair? Chuck him off the boat.
Yeah. Nope. Get Jack's Wranglers on that sail mast.
Because apparently 4 boxes of frozen fish sticks can help you take over second place.
Those are some dense fish sticks. Right. I mean that was past Gorton's level of quality.
Some fish have a high level of mercury. These had lead.
It's really heavy fish.
You only get 1 stick in your meal.
It's like that fishing contest a couple years ago where the guy won because he put ball bearings inside of the fish he caught.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I forget where it was, but yeah, some guy, he to rig it, to win this contest, to get the heaviest fish, he put ball bearings inside of the fish.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he lost, obviously.
Yeah, they caught him.
Yeah, they caught him. I'm like, wow, this fish doesn't look like it weighs 18 pounds. It's like an 18-pound bluegill. It's just burping out ball bearings.
That's what those little sushi guys are that we like. Was it Ikuru?
Yeah. Just those little guys.
Yeah, it's just ball bearings.
That's all. And so Jack and the Barnacle, they with this last little gust, they pass him on, and they beat Al for the first time apparently ever. Al apparently is super strong. He just snaps the handles off of the steering wheel of the boat. He's just But they win, and that's it. The movie just ends.
He cracks his lobsters by hand too.
He does. Just snaps them. But that's it.
That's Summer Rental. There's not a whole lot to this movie.
No, it's a very light watch.
Yes.
But it's one of those films again. It's just 80s. It just has that feel. It
bleeds 80s.
Yes. And so that's it. That's Summer Rental. Apparently their issues with Al Pellet apparently are completely over. They get the next 2 weeks rent free. And is he stressed anymore? I don't know. We never find out the conclusion to any of those. We just know that he won. So
I one of these days, I hope we get Autumn Rental, the sequel, where we find out what the second 2 weeks were.
Yeah, it'd be tough to cast John Candy.
Digitally recreate him, like Carrie Fisher.
Just cast Horatio Sands. He's not doing anything else.
Horatio Sands as John Candy as Jack Chester.
Exactly. He's not doing anything.
He's got nothing better to do. Horatio Sands.
That wraps it up.
Well, hey, folks, Oz and I every week give our own unique rating to the film we yap about. This week is 1985's Summer Rental. Hey, Oz, how would you rate this flick?
I'm going to give this movie $2,000.
$2,000.
Because everything of investment worthy in this movie cost that. It was $2,000 to rent that beach house for the month.
Mm-hmm.
It was $2,000 for the boob job that we never brought up.
True.
Yet.
That's coming
up. Just $2,000. That's what I'm giving it. What are you giving it?
Let's go with 61 boxes of fish sticks.
Fair enough.
Yep. Hey, next up, folks, Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs, searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bone, and we hope they tickle yours as well. And our next comedy segment, Outside Insights. Hey, Oz, what's your outside insight? Summer Rental.
I've got two short ones that I pulled off Letterboxd.
Right.
The first one was left by Momo Magic in November of 2018.
Momo Magic.
It's a 1-star review. It says, "In this house, we stand John Candy. That being said, I was so bored I started doing the dishes."
Wow. That's bored right there.
And if you know Momo Magic.
They never do the dishes.
This next one is a slightly better review. 1.5 stars. Left just July 25th of this year.
Oh, wow.
By T.
Like Mr., Mrs., Doctor.
Ice.
Okay.
Dr.
T and the women.
That's right. Is that Richard Gere?
Yep, it was Richard Gere himself.
Loved watching this on the beach, although the film wasn't great. The soundtrack was popping off, given Donkey Kong. I don't know what that means.
It was given Donkey Kong.
It was popping off, given Donkey Kong.
Given Donkey Kong.
The soundtrack to this movie.
Yes.
The one thing that this film is known for is the soundtrack.
It's soundtrack. Yeah. Yep.
When I think Summer Rental, I think, whoa.
Mm-hmm. I could throw a barrel to the soundtrack of this movie.
That's right. Footloose is the only song in this movie I remember.
Yeah.
And that's as they walked by a Footloose poster in the movie theater. So what are your outside insight?
I got one. It's a 10 out of 10 from the Internet Movie Database, left by GOWBTW in March of 2008. 10 out of 10. The funniest John Candy movie ever.
Oh my gosh.
Being overworked is not a good thing. That's why we have to take a vacation. In Summer Rental, this vacation is anything but ordinary. Things were funny on the beach when the spigot from the cooler broke and Jack gets a frisbee to the groin. Following the boating accident, he meets neighbor Vicky, who offers not only refreshments, but a critique of her goods.
Ooh.
To me, that's a little too intimidating. I enjoyed this movie, whether it's a keeper or a rental. Ha ha ha!
Oh man.
Way to go, GOWBTW.
Yeah.
Real knee slapper there. Love it when people add their own laugh track to these reviews. I mean, it wasn't all caps.
I just wanted to make sure you knew it was funny.
It is funny, and there's the evidence right there. All right, folks, it is time for the Let's Talk About Flicks signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I will each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about this week's movie, 1985's Summer Rental. Hey, Oz, what are your 3 goods?
My first one is the aforementioned walking on the beach scene. Mm-hmm. It's just fun. Like, it's just stupid fun.
Yep.
It doesn't. You really don't even see John Candy doing it. It's just the sight gags involved are fun.
Yeah. I mean, the camera follows the cooler more than anything else.
Yeah. And so that scene was just fun.
Sure.
My second, I did like the fake boobs running joke of the very attractive neighbor who's just super friendly.
Yeah.
She just wants anybody and everybody's input on whether her new fake breasts looked real.
It felt real.
Which would be a very intimidating situation to be in.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the husband is always around when she's doing this. And he's a pretty big guy. But it's funny because he's never mad or upset with the person who's being exposed.
No, he's mad at his wife. I don't know about mad, but he's just sort of he's like annoyed
he's
with
just
her.
Irritated. It's like, would you leave these people alone? Like,
you don't need any more validation. They look great, honey.
Yeah, they feel great. And then at one point he even says to Jack, would you just feel them? Just to, let her know.
Yep.
To which she just reaches out real quick. Oh yeah, feels like a real thing. So that's my second good. And
I love the. Do they look good? I just got them. Well, who had them before you?
I forgot about that line. That's a good one. And my third one is just Al Pellet's laugh. Like, it's just ha.
Yeah.
He just leaves his mouth open when he does it, but he always looks at somebody for affirmation. Like, he'll say something to Jack and look at his rich friend and go, ha! And it's just so sleazy and schmarmy that it's
movies, 8 classic 80s villains.
Yeah, and it's just fun. Just to ha! Mm-hmm. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
Oh, my first good. Let's go with I'll start with the connection between Jack and Scully. Like, they met each other, and a couple of days later they just have this tight bond. They're sharing stories with each other. Scully welcomes them in, and they're playing darts together, and Scully strikes me as just kind of a very real, authentic person.
Agreed.
Nothing fancy about him, but just very welcoming, and he and Jack formed this bond. So yeah, I liked just the connection between these 2 characters.
Right.
My second good, I mentioned it a moment ago, just Jack taking the Frisbee right into the groin.
From point blank range.
Point blank from Joey Lawrence.
Hey, Dad, you want to play Frisbee?
Boom! And my third good is it's not quite as obvious, but this is another 80s movie where like the bad guy gets to the good guy through real estate.
Oh yeah, it's another real estate movie.
It's another real estate transaction movie, and I'm gonna frame it as a good this time. Sometimes it's a bad. I'm gonna say it's a good this time.
Yeah, and it's funny because as many real estate bad guy movies we've covered, we've yet to cover any of them where there's like a dance scene to save the real estate.
That's true. We haven't had let's have a fundraiser to save the community center.
Right. We haven't had any of those. Good. Those are 3 good goods.
Thank you. So yeah, those are my goods. Oz, what are your bads?
I mentioned it earlier a little bit. Like, just very uneven pacing in this movie.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
It does kind of settle into it once we get to the regatta, just because now there's a point. Outside of just man is stressed and on vacation, that's not a plot.
Yeah.
that's a scenario.
It's just hijinks.
Yeah. And so once we actually gave Jack a purpose on vacation, he settled into a little bit more of a directed role.
Yeah,
everybody just kind of
more of a groove. Yeah,
everybody fell in line, but outside of the regatta stuff, just very unevenly paced. And so it didn't like ruin the movie, but it just, if you're a first time watcher and like not a John Candy fan or something like that, I could see where it'd be a turnoff.
Yeah.
And two, why Scully didn't have more work? Like, he owns a restaurant that's never really, patroned. He's like, he rents out sailboats, and he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just why this tourism community just doesn't give Scully more of a fair shake.
Yeah.
That's my second bad.
Yeah. Welcome him into the community.
Yeah. He's there. He's a business owner. So those are my two bads. What do you got?
My first bad, we briefly talked about this before. What happened to Don and his family? We shared the behind the scenes stuff, like was it like the screen audience screenings didn't like it, and so they cut it. But like then just get rid of the character altogether.
Yeah, it's like they did the movie and then they went on the boat with skiing.
And they dropped the hints.
He basically filled in as dad while Jack was doing Jack's stuff.
Yeah.
And then they showed up at the regatta.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it.
Why introduce this guy that way if you're not going to pay it off? I think whatever audience reactions there were, I mean, maybe they just didn't, I don't know, maybe the performances weren't good or something like that, but like it left this huge weird hole in the story.
Right. Again, it turned Don and his son into the reason why Jack's family was busy and he had the time to go do the boat stuff.
Yeah, but that was it. Like there was, there needed to be something else there.
It did, because there were even a few scenes where it felt real shady because he was fine, but he was still lying to his family about his leg so that they would go off and do something else without him.
Yeah.
Freeing him up. And even though his wife's like, oh, we're going to go out on a boat with Don, and he was fine with it. Like, oh, that's fine.
Okay, all right. Go ahead,
because at least you'll be out of my hair while I go learn how to sail.
Go have fun with rich, recently divorced John Larroquette.
Right. Go do that. Make sure that our kids are, close together.
So that's my first bad. And my second bad is us for putting this movie at the end of this. We had 3 straight John Hughes movies. And not that this movie is bad, but it's got a very different energy to it than the others.
Definitely does. It definitely
does. Speaking of pacing with one of your bads, I don't think we paced this month well by just sort of sticking this movie at the end.
Yeah,
so
I could see that. See that. Yeah, it definitely has a feel. Like, this probably should have been what we kicked off the month with.
Yeah,
as it being like John Candy's first starring role, and he's still John Candy, but he's not super charismatic John Candy yet. He's more like grumpy John Candy. And, but and then rattle off 3 straight like bangers.
Yeah. So I guess again, I was kind of reaching a little bit there. Yeah. Again, there's not a lot of like highs and lows in this movie, so I kind of struggled finding goods and bads.
Yeah, honestly. it's a fine movie. You could definitely do worse.
Yeah,
there aren't any. It's PG rated. It's a safe family movie. Like there's no real whatever going on. It just for an 80s movie, it's pretty tame, really.
Yeah, very tame. Yeah, so those are my 2 bads. Hey, Az, what's your
how do you throw a dart into your own arm?
I watched this a couple of weeks ago, and I kind of had it on in the background this morning as I was just doing my normal Saturday morning shenanigans, and I didn't catch that the first time through, but I did this morning. Oh, that blue, that's mine. And he's just holding his arm up.
John Candy does do a good drunk acting. Like it was solid.
Yeah,
that's one of my least favorite things in Hollywood is when you get someone who's supposed to be drunk and they can't act it.
Yeah,
it's so grating. But John Candy did okay. But when he and Scully are playing darts when they're drunk and they're trying to add it up, and of course nobody hit the dartboard. At one point, like Scully's got a dart in his arm.
You know,
Oh, that's blue. That's mine.
that's mine. That's my dart.
And that's
blue.
it. Like, nobody even questioned. Like,
No,
so I'm going to ask, how do you throw a dart in your own arm?
There was also one of the moving ceiling fan
Yeah. Somehow that one got thrown vertically.
And another one went through like a glass, like frame and a clock too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's real bad darting. That's what he's doing. What's your huh?
My huh, I'm gonna share two. I'll start with my backup huh. So my second one will be the real one. My backup huh is, if they were worried about weight in the boat, why did they bring the whole family?
It's a good question. That's a very good question.
I mean, you kind of mentioned it before with like one of Scully's workers was down there brushing the hair of the youngest daughter. But why did they bring everybody if they were worried about weight? I don't know. Whatever. So my real huh, in the mid 80s, did Carl Reiner just want to hang on the beach with hotties?
I think so.
Because 2 years later was Summer School.
Yeah, with Courtney Thorne Smith.
Yep.
On the beach. As a teenager in a bathing suit.
Yep. So, it's like, I don't want to overthink it, but at the same time, it's like, 2 straight movies.
I think it's a result of its time.
Yeah.
The 80s were icky.
Yeah.
Like top to bottom were just icky. You know how many like much smaller scale films are about like, from the 80s are about like a very young looking girl, whether she's a teen or not, but it's like underage prostitute or, just like there's a whole like exploitation field of that.
Yes.
And those movies like were in theaters. They were,
they were marketed to families.
Yeah. Of like Angels, one that I'm thinking that I remember the box art of. I think that's what it's called. 1983. Yeah. Angel. Teenage prostitute in Los Angeles faces danger when a serial killer begins stalking and murdering young prostitutes. And it's like that, but that made $17.5 million on a $3 million budget. Like that was a hit.
Yeah.
And that was 84. And it was just like, ooh, but again, it's a serial killer. No, you're sexualizing a teenage girl.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the 80s in general, as you said, there was a lot of ick and a lot of huh to it. This is going to sound off topic for a moment. I was reading about there's a new movie at the time of this recording. There's a Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid as Reagan and a lot of other. There's a lot of conservative. Like actors with conservative beliefs that are in this movie.
Got it.
And so I was going through the cast and Wikipedia, and C. Thomas Howell is in it. Honestly, I'm not sure where he's at politically, but
it reminded for a job.
that could be. There's a couple actresses in this movie that at least one in particular, Mina Suvari, who doesn't strike me. She's vegan. I mean,
doesn't seem super conservative.
Doesn't check the right boxes.
Yeah,
but
checks the left boxes.
Yeah, well, there you go. But C. Thomas Howell was in Soul Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Which is a huge problem.
That is an understatement, my friend.
A huge problem.
And that was 1986.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, huge problem because we know better now.
We knew better then, but we still played it for yucks because blackface is funny.
$4.5 million budget, $35 million at the box office.
So it's 8 times its budget.
Yeah,
it made back.
You got C. Thomas Howell, Radon Chong, James Earl Jones, Leslie Nielsen, Melora Hardin, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Ari Gross.
That was a huge hit.
Yeah, it's big.
That was a huge hit. People went to see C. Thomas Howell in blackface.
That role was offered. The role was offered to Anthony Michael Hall, Tim Robbins, Anthony Edwards, Val Kilmer, and John Cusack. They all declined.
I wonder why.
Yeah,
step up, C. Thomas.
Well, he did say later, when I made the movie, I didn't go into it with the idea I had a responsibility to sort of teach America a lesson. I went into it because it was a great script. It was so well written, so funny, and sadly, very true. A lot of the experiences the guy goes through, maybe he wouldn't have gone through them if he was a white person. But when he's black, it's a very different experience. Son of Ronald Reagan, Ron Reagan, had a small role in the film.
In Soul Man?
In Soul Man.
Wow. How is that for irony?
Yeah.
Starting with C. Thomas Howell in the new Reagan movie.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Soundtrack, Sam Moore, Lou Reed, Isaac Hayes. Oh, man. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's...
To be fair, though,
Mhm.
the reason he's black is he spoiler alert.
Spoiler for Soul Man.
There's a scholarship that's only offered for African Americans, and he decides to cheat it by using tanning pills and larger doses than prescribed. That's why he appears African American.
So he's also trying to take an opportunity away from someone from a marginalized population.
Did you like Tropic Thunder?
Tropic Thunder, I go back and forth on Tropic Thunder because
I think that's the point.
Yeah, it was supposed to be self-aware.
It's supposed to hit a nerve too.
Like, yeah, it's. Yeah, I struggle with Tropic Thunder. I really do.
Because
like I can understand why people don't like it, but
right.
at the same time, like it's also making fun of these tropes. And making fun of the type of actors and like artists
right.
who would do that thinking it's art or thinking it has this powerful message when it's like, no, yeah.
That's the hard part is to make a film like that. You do still have to do the things you're making fun of.
Yes.
And so terminology, blackface, like you still have to do it.
Yeah.
To poke fun at it. And so it's like, it's one of those guilty pleasure things where it's like, I shouldn't like this, but I get what they're trying to say here. And I like that side of it. But then again, you're also grouped into everybody else. It's just like, I love it, man. Yeah. Black people shouldn't be acting anywhere,
like,
give all the white men the job, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, I don't want to be in that group, but unfortunately I am.
Yes.
Well, speaking of that, to transition into
smooth transition.
Yeah, if we're gonna stay on the theme of marginalized minorities.
Yes.
As we take a stab at next month's theme. Next month's theme is one that it'll have its ups. It'll be like a roller coaster that probably just crashes at the bottom of the hill.
It's a fiery inferno, despite the fact there's nothing flammable on board.
Fair enough. But next month's theme is we wanted to tackle movies that include martial arts but are not martial arts movies.
Yes. We could debate if these movies really are or aren't, but again, it's our show.
Yeah, it is.
We'll pull a rank on that.
Yeah, it's a month of not martial arts films.
Yes.
And you kick off the month. What do you got?
I do kick off the month with a movie that I watched again recently and laughed a lot more than I expected to.
I think I've seen it one time.
We are starting off. Yes. We are starting off with 1997's Beverly Hills Ninja. Yes, that Beverly Hills Ninja, the Chris Farley, Chris Rock vehicle.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot Chris Rock was in it.
Yep, he plays a supporting role.
I'm going to check in case anybody wants to watch this movie with us.
Beverly Hills Ninja?
Yeah, I'm going to see if it's streaming anywhere.
I think it's on Netflix.
It is. It is on Netflix.
It's presently on Netflix.
And you can rent it as well through Amazon, Apple, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, it is on Netflix currently. So if you want to watch Beverly Hills Ninja to follow along at home with us next week, please do so. We do want to give another fine shout out to new Patreon subscriber Lyle M. Thank you for joining in, as well as all of the other patrons.
All of our existing Patreon subscribers.
Yes, for sure. So we're up to 6 now.
We are.
That's right.
We'll be at double digits soon.
Very soon, hopefully.
I'm running out of family members.
You're not wrong. And so Beverly Hills Ninja for next week. Social media-wise, you guys can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There's a Patreon link down below. We should probably start giving a shout-out to the Chicago Indie Critics Organization as well.
Yes, we could verbalize that.
Yeah. Like I throw the logos in on the YouTube videos right before, but we are members of the Chicago Indie Critics.
Yeah, we are.
Tons of amazing critics in the Chicagoland area covering all kinds of things on a very independent level. We've got Rotten Tomatoes certified reviewers. And so
people doing some big time stuff there.
So if you're looking for reviews for upcoming films, or you just want to look at back catalog of what people had to say, check out the Chicago Witty Critics, because it's a great group. It really is a great group.
Yeah, fun people, informed people who really care and are passionate about what they do,
and are way better at this than we are.
Yes, considerably better.
Yeah. We're like that. I don't even know. We're just the comic relief of the Chicago Witty Critics.
Yeah, we're the 20 clowns that pour out of the tiny car.
Yeah.
We're the barnacle that clings to the side.
That's what we are. So we are the Beverly Hills Ninja of martial arts films. All right. Well, like I said, social media, I told you where you can find us. But for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we'll see you guys next week with Beverly Hills Ninja.